Lightning like Steve McQueen, I'm in the fast lane when the light turns green. And I built tough, I ain't nothing but grit, cause I made rugged blood, sweat, and spit. Yeah, like a horse I fly, better push yourself in for a bumpy ride. I like to play hard, but I work harder, and I weather the storm cause I'm built stronger.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back. We are live. It is the Freight Coach Morning Show, the top morning show in transportation, coming to you live every single weekday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central, to break down 3 industry headlines for you guys and provide a little bit of clarity, a little bit of action, and a little bit of a lot of stuff. You know, we're just here to break down this industry. Everybody who is on this show and all of my shows are transportation professionals. At the end of the day, you guys, we are here to bring the realities of the trucking industry to your door. There's no theory on any of my stuff. I want to be very clear about that. Everybody who is on my shows are active in the day-to-day. They have experience in this industry. They can point out what a fifth wheel is on a truck. And that's what it's all about. You guys, we're just here to provide education and insight for you guys to apply, utilize, and actually see a difference in your business. It's really easy to just sit there and point out and say there's a fucking problem and not offer any solution to it. And frankly, most of the time it's because they don't know a solution because they've never done the job before. And I'm not going to ever sit up and say that there aren't changes, there aren't real issues that are happening out there in the industry on a day-to-day basis. But it doesn't matter if it's a good market, a bad market, up market, down market. It doesn't matter. You still need to find a solution. We don't quit. We find solutions no matter what for our customers, for our coworkers, for everyone out there, because at the end of the day, this is the greatest industry in our world. It is the backbone of the U.S. economy. Before we jump into today's show, though, you guys, as always, my friends over at VHub, vhubapp.com, hit them up right now. The access to the need for access to trailers is always at an all-time high. You know, if you're a trucking company out there and you have one, especially if you're a smaller operation, if your trailer is in the shop, you shouldn't have to shut down. You know, furthermore, brokers, if you're out there right now as well, you need to be able to create drop trailer pools at some of your shippers' facilities. And this is another value add for you to where you can get out there and put some additional services in front of them, because everybody is going for easy. All right, rest assured. What we got moving right now, though, you guys, is over in Paragould, Arkansas. The best part about this is you get paid to reposition. All right, move these trailers over there, reallocate your assets and move them up there. So right now they have trailers in Paragould, Arkansas, looking to go up to Delta, British Columbia. And you get paid to do that, you guys, $18.50. And that is on top of the freight that you put inside of that trailer to move. And then also they have the ability now on this one to bring it in out of Paragould, Arkansas, and bring it to Orting, Washington, which is just like 20 miles outside of Tacoma. All right. And then with that, though, you still get paid $15.50 to reposition that. So you can take that load. Now think about this. Take that load. Maybe you can find something out of the Little Rock area, maybe over in Memphis or something like that, going up to Seattle. All right. And you bring it up to Seattle, you deliver your shipment, and then you drop it off in the designated hours at that facility down there in Orting to drop off that trailer. And that's on top of the revenue you get from the freight that you put in that trailer. So again, you got to look at it. And the same thing over in Glade Spring, Virginia, they have that as well. And then you can also bring that into Orting, Washington, just outside of Tacoma. So again, you guys, there's some solutions out there. And then furthermore, we got this one out in San Diego going to Dallas, Texas. Okay, there's a lot of freight that moves out there. And this is a great opportunity for some of you power-only carriers to take this upon yourselves to get that direct shipper freight and everything else. And then you get paid $600 on top of the freight that you do it. So hit them up, vhubapp.com. My man, Xavier Campos, he will be in the audience here as always. Hit him up. Stacy Steen, my friend, she'll be there. Adrian, he'll be in there as well. Hit him up, you guys. Be in contact with him and get that additional solution out there. Steven Peterson, good morning, sir. Great to see you on this beautiful, gloomy, rainy Tuesday morning out here in the desert. It is a very rare cold streak going on right now. And to some of you guys, you're going to laugh when I say what this cold streak is, but it's like literally below 100 every day this week, which is unheard of this time of year. Cause like literally for the previous like 20 days, it was like 114 degrees every single day. So this is wild and welcome all at the exact same time. We are up to day 77 of the Freight Coach Tally, you guys. What is that freight coach tally? You might be asking yourself. The freight coach tally is bringing awareness to the fact that there are truck parking issues in this industry, as well as facilities issues in this industry, where there's companies out there that literally don't allow a driver to use a restroom, nor do they allow them to drop their trailer and leave and go use the restroom. And if they do leave, they got to wait to the back of the line, get rescheduled and all that stuff as well. And again, I see both sides of what people are going to argue about this, but frankly, I would ask any one of you out there, if you wouldn't do it, why do you require your drivers to do it? I want you to ask yourselves that. We're at day 77 of that right now. Also, the national average for diesel is still at a staggering $5.26 a gallon. It is up $1.92 year over year. The latest fuel report came out late yesterday. I get all this information from the EIA.gov. I know that there's reports out there that you're seeing like, oh, fuel's dropping drastically. This is a cause. It's not a cause to celebrate. All right. Fuel is fucking astronomical. You cannot sit here and say, oh, it's the great. Like here's my problem is I saw something from the White House come out like, oh, this is the biggest drop in gas prices on record and stuff like that in this short of amount of time. You can't have record high prices and see a drastic drop and then call it a fucking massive savings. Yes, technically on paper it is, but this is well above the average of what this normally runs to. So I don't want to hear that. It's just like when 10,000 jobs left the market due to COVID and then they refilled those 10,000 jobs. And now they're saying there's a great gain in employment. No, you're just replacing the jobs that were lost. I again, it's a good reprieve. It's a good reprieve for those drivers out there. But the fact that they're trying to celebrate this is, I just think it's a slap in the face. There is so much more that needs to come of this than that. I'll start celebrating with everybody when it's in the $3 a gallon. Still, when it's back down to what it was at this time last year. Let's see here. Also, some other industry news. The Port of Oakland is back up and running. It looks like they established some free speech zones, I think is what they called it, out there at the Port of Oakland to keep operations running. And, again, I'm glad to see that the drivers are out there still protesting, using their First Amendment right to freedom of speech and everything that comes along with that. And I like to see that the port's back open, though, because, again, I believe in peaceful protesting. I don't believe in, getting in disrupting anybody else's lives with that, But, again, people are going to do whatever they're going to do. And it's good to see that the port is back up. I think that I saw some reports that with the freight, it's going to take, it was either 3 days or 3 weeks. I'm sorry, I don't have the article in front of me. If you want to fact check me, fucking go right ahead. But I think I saw it was either 3 days or 3 weeks until they'll be back up to normal operations to kind of alleviate some of that backlog that came with it. Let's see here, you guys. What else do we got going on here? Let me see. Lewis, what's up, brother? He's going to be emptying Wilson, North Carolina with a 53-foot drive-in. Lewis, are you looking to head back to Indiana with that? Again, any drivers that are out there watching my stuff, if you're on this live right now, if you're on Facebook, YouTube, or LinkedIn, drop where your equipment type is, drop what city you're in as well, and where you're looking to run. And all my brokers out there who are watching this, make sure you get in the mix. All right, help them out, hook some people up. All right, that's the whole point of this network. That's the whole point of all of this stuff, is to build an ecosystem of people who are doing the right thing so we can get the right people in front of each other and build this out. That's the whole point of all of what we're doing. And it's also the whole point in us being the #1 news source in transportation within the next 12 months. It's going to happen. I'm calling it right now. By July of next year, fucking watch. Sit back and watch. Let me see. West or south, it doesn't matter. I need miles. All right, you guys, hit him up. He's in Wilson, North Carolina. Got a 53-foot drive-in, looking to run. He's looking to get some miles in. If you got some long-haul freight out there, hit him up. Let's see here. We got some articles to break down, you guys. We do. First one is from the JOC. My friends over there. My man, William Cassidy. Kyle Provost. Good morning, brother. He was on the show last week. He put out an article literally just this morning, and I thought it was pretty imperative to put it up there as opposed to the other one that I had up. U.S. trucking looking more seasonal to motor carriers. Before I break this down right now, I was watching my friends over at DAT, Ken Adamo and Dean Croak. They were they had their live show on Tuesday mornings doing a Tuesday morning market report. And I tune into that most Tuesday mornings. And, they had a lot of good information out there. And again, I think where we're at is it's a normalization of the freight market. And I know we were talking about this last week, but again, I just got to continue to bang this drum that's out there is we're seeing the normalization of it. And again, I know spot market rates out there, and I know there's people out there who are like, fuck you, dude. Like spot markets are terrible right now and everything else. And I get that. I completely understand. But what we're seeing is a normalization of how this industry is actually going to operate here. Let me see. Got some before we got this. My man John Lightfoot. John Lightfoot. I met him actually through mutual friend Adam Wingfield. He's got some reefer trailers out there in San Antonio, Texas. Hey, any of my clients that are watching right now, I know you guys have reefer freight in South Texas. Hit up your boy John Lightfoot. All right, Lightfoot Legacy Logistics. Hit him up. John, put your email address in there in the comments so people can see that as well, man. Let me see. Kedrick, he's unloading in Fort Hood as we speak, 2 RGNs. Kedrick, what do you have for what is it? How many axle RGN is it? Or what are you looking to go with them? Sonny Sharma, good morning, brother. Good to see you out there. Let's see here. Now back to the article. Goes on to say, somewhat close to normal seasonality is returning to trucking, one of the most seasonal businesses. Motor carrier executives and other industry observers recent freight flows suggest not a return to pre-COVID norms, but a demand that most closely resembles those norms. Shelly Simpson, Jesus. She is now the president over at JB Hunt. Shout out to Shelly. She's great. I love following her content. I think we're having a seasonally normal July is what she said. This might be the first July where we've seen seasonality since COVID has started. At that time, said the freight markets remain dynamic with ongoing supply chain challenges that make apples to apples comparison with pre-COVID freight demand difficult. We continue to see tremendous opportunity to eliminate waste in the system. Over the past 2 years, unseasonal demand has caused the pandemic and economic recovery flooded truckload and LTL networks, making conventional year-over-year comparisons impossible. Although 2022 is also an unconventional year, there are signs that seasonality is reasserting itself. In the second quarter, freight demand followed normal seasonal trends, but was generally strong, said Adam Miller. He's the CFO over at Knight Swift. Landstar also saw seasonal trends reemerging, and then that they expect the third quarter of truckload count to experience normal season trends. Jim Gattoni, he's the Landstar president over there, and given the assumption, I expect the truckload count to increase over the 2021 third quarter of 3 to 5% range. And I think, again, it's just a balancing act of what we're going to see. And again, like I want you guys to remove the actual rates here. And this might be another one of those, dude, go fuck yourself. Like I need these rates, but I want you to pay attention to the seasonal trends that they're discussing right here. All right. How these freight markets operate when it comes down to tender rejections. I know there's a lot of drums that are being banged about, tender rejections. Yes, that is a part of it. And that is definite data subset that you're going to want to pay attention to. But what we see out here right now is the normalization of how this market operates. Okay. You have to remove anomalies out there. And again, when I was watching DAT this morning on their live show, they had the last 5 years trending out there, and they are, it's normalizing is what you're seeing out there. And that's going to, I think, continue to, and it's tough for me to sit up here and predict literally anything. But what we need to do is, again, pay attention to how the overall market is performing. Again, when you remove actual rates out there, because, I'm going to use my man John Lightfoot in the audience who has a reefer trailer, for example. He prices his reefer, and just like a broker out there is going to price that reefer vastly different on, say, San Antonio to New Orleans, if it's a frozen load, a fresh load, or a temperature controlled load. It's going to be a vastly different price. So there's no one size fits all to this. But one of the main things I pay attention to out there, you guys, is the overall freight volume and freight tonnage that's being moved. And then also, some are saying that there's nothing wrong at the ports. Some are saying that there is wrong at the ports. But What you're seeing, though, is there is going to be a steady freight flow for the rest of the year. What these rates do is going to be determined. I think that with contracts being locked in, and the shippers are in complete control right now. They're like, again, back to the rebalancing. Shippers are going to push some stuff out to spot. And here's another thing, guys. A tender doesn't have to be rejected at all to have a customer throw it out there onto the spot market, because the customers control their freight. They're going to do whatever the fuck they want. And are they going to see what lanes that they can get a little bit of savings on? Of course they are. That's how a free market operates. And it'll be interesting to see how the end of this year comes out. It goes on to say in this article that July spot rates have dropped slightly. Obviously, as we talk about all the time, 4th of July until mid-August is going to be a freight lull. It happens every single year, you guys. It's just what happens. And then that back to school freight starts kicking in. That seasonal holiday freight starts pumping. And that's where you're going to see freight volumes pick up. It dropped a little bit, but from $286 a mile to $284 a mile. I'm assuming that for the spot market, that's including fuel surcharge on there. The JOC data goes on to say that July 2019 average was $2.11, and the spot market peak was $3.38 a mile back there in January. And Rob Brasher, who's the chief commercial officer over at Landstar, says his gut is upside down because no one can tell me what is going to happen. Which Rob Brasher, I agree with you. It's very challenging to accurately predict anything right now when it comes to like pricing. But when it comes to like where again, what I pay attention to the most is overall freight volumes and overall freight tonnage that's going on out there. And that to me says that it's going to, I would say that for the next 2 months, maybe 60 days, you'll see some balance out there. And then when that seasonally adjusted freight starts pumping, it's going to continue to increase. And we'll see. I don't know. I'll eat crow, because again, as I say all the time, you guys, I don't need to be right. All right. We just need to find a solution that the drivers out there, the owner ops, the fleets, that they can actually use this, brokers to use this and see a meaningful difference in their business. Let me see here. Sonny Sharma want John to email him, sonny@zemsinc.com. Anybody out there who has reefer freight in San Antonio or South Texas, hit up John Lightfoot, info@lightfootlegacylogistics.com. Richard, good morning. VP Shipping Group out of New York. First time on. Pleasure to have you here, man. Scooter, good morning, brother. Yeah, absolutely, man. 8-axle. All right, so Kedrick Winfield, has 2 8-axle RGNs looking in the southeast U.S. Chandler, if you're out there watching, man, if you're out there, Chandler McGann with Next Exit Logistics, Kedrick, he's got some free. He's based out of Dallas, Texas. Hit him up, man. He's all about overdimensional and RGN freight and stuff like that. Let me see. That DJ, that's funny as fuck. Yes, I am not much to look at. That is true. I've always been told that I have a face for radio. You fuckers just have to look at me. That's probably why my podcast numbers are what they are, because they're like, God, this guy sounds great. They just don't know what I look like. All right. Second article we're going to do today is also from the JOC. And my friend Eric Johnson, he's been on the show as well. Shippers seeking outsource logistics aid despite rise of self-service software. Historically, market upheaval has led shippers to return to service providers and consultants to help manage key ocean freight processes. And despite a sure fit of logistics technology having arrived on the scene in the past decade, tech designed to be cheaper and easier to implement, software vendors have told the JOC that they've seen a rise in demand for what's commonly called managed transportation services. The lure of managed transportation services for a shipper generally is driven by 3 factors: where logistics isn't considered a core competency, where it lacks the resources or expertise to manage some aspect of logistics management, and where it feels the system provider's acumen allows it to better leverage the system. Fran Barker is a logistics and supply chain procurement lead at Accenture, said shipping outsourcing logistics is like buying maturity, and you are behind on what it takes to run the process and the tech and where you learn from the experts. Barker said, in the meantime, a fourth dynamic has become pronounced during the pandemic: rapid changes of the external supply and demand environment that makes everything more challenging, from finding affordable capacity. That to an extent has negated the value of technology intended to empower a shipper's logistics team. And let me see. For instance, Jonas Crumland, excuse me, is the CEO of German-based technology. Logword told JOC that the company has seen an influx in demand of such services this year from customers and had added resources to handle those requests. Again, I think that when it comes to freight tech and everything else that's out there is a lot that is on paper designed to make people's lives easier. But it seems like it's not always coming through with that. Again, as always, my man Eric knocked this article out of the park. I thoroughly enjoy his writing, as well as a lot of them over at the JOC, because they have a truly subjective approach. At least that's what I feel when I read it. It goes on to say that, the freight spend threshold, and Eric Gottheimer, he's the founder of Montreal-based consultant MyTLA, said the decision to outsource isn't necessarily cut and dry, this vast, complex industry. But he did suggest that companies with transportation spend of more than $2 million is a decent threshold to consider. Let's say a shipper has a annual spend of $2 million across air, ocean, ground, courier, and global trade management. That company will likely have $500,000 in costs at a minimum associated with managing those modes. He also said that the cost includes $200,000 for an experienced logistics director, salaries, benefits, and expenses, another $200,000 in TMSs and everything else. Another $100,000 would be spent on external services. So yeah, I think that, that's why some of these companies outsource and go on with because the larger providers out there, CH Robinson, XPOs, Transplaces of the world, everything else, they offer managed transportation. And sometimes it is cheaper. It is cheaper to completely outsource everything and have somebody else run your transportation department. I've seen it as a big commonality across all sizes of shippers. And that's what's crazy is I've had some mom and pop shippers who move literally 50 shipments a week, outsource it. They have managed transportation handle it. They have one of those companies that are out there taking it on and running with it, which is cool to see. Because again, there is a value add to it. There is that point where, again, it's I look at it like this, I'm outsourcing some of my marketing to a company in Las Vegas. They're helping me cut my content and everything else. It's more of, I view it like this, some shippers, it's like that time perspective. Me growing out my company, I can only allocate so much time to editing out clips and posting it out there to social media and doing the graphics. And I reach that point where it's my capabilities, my strong suits need to be identified to run in certain areas. And that's completely applicable to most businesses. And I think that's what you see. And then you kind of get to that point where it's it's more efficient and effective to run through managed transportation than it is to try and take it all in-house and do that. Because as you know, and a lot of people out there who have built companies, sometimes getting people to show up to work can be challenging. There's a lot of different factors that are out there. And I think from a cost benefit analysis, when you have that established company, it's just like a solid carrier. It's just like a solid broker as well. That's why there's a lot of value out there for the ones who are doing the right thing. Again, that article is from the JOC. My man Eric Johnson wrote that one. Shippers seeking outsource logistics aid despite rise in self-service software. And again, every single article that I break down, you guys, I put the links out there on my YouTube channel. Because again, I want my YouTube channel as well as my podcast, Coffee with the Freight Coach, on iTunes and Spotify. I put all the links out there because again, I want you guys to research all of this on your own. And if you vehemently disagree with everything I say, that's fucking awesome. I want you guys to formulate your own opinions on this, because you can't just look at what a headline reads at times and formulate an entire opinion on that. So we got to dive in deeper, because again, our customers need to know this. All right. Our job as a service provider is to educate. All right. And that's the thing. If you educate for your customers on what is actually going on out there, it's value add. You build customer loyalty that way. It's not always about the dollars and cents of the freight. Yes, freight price is a factor. I'm not going to sit here and say that it's not, but price will become secondary in time, you guys. I promise you. I know that for a fact. I've had numerous conversations with shippers who have told me you're $400 higher than everybody else, but when you say your truck's going to show up at 2 p.m., it rolls through our gate at 1:58. All right? And I realized that just fucking rhymed, and I didn't try to do that. Roll through that gate at 1:58, baby. All right. Let me see here. Xavier, good morning. See, Xavier's in the audience. Hit him up, you guys. He's with VHub. Kyle Probus, you are right, man. You cannot automate judgment as much as you want to think that. At times, you can't. Last article, FreightWaves. The vast majority of owner-operators say they will make less money this year, survey says. Survey says, I don't know if you guys remember that show. Anyways, if you're an owner-operator, chances are 2021 felt pretty good, it says. Stimulus money padded consumer pockets. Spot rates reached historic highs. It's likelier still that you were paid well for doing so. Sure, fuel costs climbed steadily throughout the year, but felt manageable. Services were in high demand. Then 2022 came. Script flipped fast. Freight market that started off seemingly more was cast into tumult in the late winter and early spring. An overheated American economy sent inflation data to multi-decade highs. An attitude about the pandemic has waned over the shift back to higher norms in consumer spending. That meant less demand for physical goods. In an effort to curtail inflation, the Federal Reserve started raising interest rates aggressively. All right, and then we're going to bring up that, skinning over, to get a clearer picture of how the world looks now for owner-operators. We wanted to survey the FreightWaves audience. So in May and June, we collected information from respondents self-identifying as owner-operators. In all, 76 total owner-operators completed this survey. So small data subset out there. But what we learned confirmed much of what we suspected out of the 76 reporting people. 2021 was a remarkable year, and 2022 is shaping up to be potentially treacherous. More than 80% of the respondents will be less profitable this year. So again, I went to public school, so 60 of the 76 essentially said that they're going to be less profitable. So 60 total carriers. It goes on to say, this is a change of tune. This doesn't mean a bloodbath is in store for everyone. After all, 2021 was abnormally good, so a slight contraction in revenue would not necessarily spell doom. That's interesting. But at large, owner-operators are feeling the strain. And yeah, of course, owner-operators, and let's see, we structured our email to that sent specifically to target the owner-operators. And all 76, okay, 76 did that. Owner-operators respondents at both the mean and median average netted a six-figure incomes in 2021. The survey said, I'm sorry, I keep on survey says every time I see this. It said I saw some pretty divergent data on the edges, though, with one owner-operator saying they netted nearly $500,000 last year, and another one saying that they had lost $20,000 last year. All right, this year is looking much worse for owner-operators. Just over 35% of the respondents, so 20 of the respondents rated their expectations for profitability in 2022 relative to 1, the lowest possible score. In fact, if we consider 1 to 5 indicating expectation, 6 and 10 indicating expectation for a more profitable year that were out there, and then 81.57%. Okay. The biggest reason for pessimism appears to be this year's meteoric rise in fuel costs, it goes on to say. Rate volatilities came in a distant second, and it weighted average of 3. Okay. It's easy to throw out there, but again, 76 total drivers completed this survey. And again, you guys, I'm not saying fuel's not up. I'm not saying that this isn't a challenging year, but that just shows how data can be skewed as an overall thing. Because you can only talk to 10 people and say 95% of our respondents said one thing. I'm glad that I will say this, I got to give credit where credit's due. At least they put that only 76 owner operators filled this out. All right. I will give them credit on that. But yeah, again, it's as always, you guys, as a fellow business owner, as somebody who doesn't have it all figured out, as somebody who's out here every single day trying to figure it out, one thing is always going to come in to play here. Knowing your overall cost structure and identifying what is the most profitable lanes that are out there. I think if I was an owner operator right now, and you're running, I would take your running average over the last 60 days and see which lanes held higher and more profitable that are outside of your normal realm. I think that for you to look at this for the next 30 days, this is going to help you find more consistent freight. Because again, these are all hypothetical examples. This is not what the rate is, but say you ran 15 shipments last month and 14 of them held, or we'll even call them 7, were outside of your normal operating area, but they were paying $3 a mile, for example. And then the ones that were in your normal operating area we're only at like 230 a mile. Lay all of that out. It's really easy. Create an Excel spreadsheet and start tracking that and see where the trends are, but then upload for the last like 7 weeks into that. And then you can start identifying your own market trends based off of a tender accepted freight for you in particular. Because again, you can't pull a national average and think that it's just easily applicable to a 1 truck or a 2 truck operation. So I would literally take all of my accepted loads. I would take my gross revenue number on it and then your net revenue number. After expenses and everything that came out, I would pull that up, create a little Excel spreadsheet and pull the last 7 weeks of your data. All right. See what lanes are holding as steady. All right. And I would say this, if it's anything up to a 10 cent per mile rate per mile basis, I would say that one's going to hold the most steady. If you look at the last 7 weeks, say you ran San Antonio to Kansas City for the last 7 straight weeks, and it might have dropped a little bit, or like within 5, I would feel confident that lane is going to run steady for the next probably 3 to 5 weeks. If the last 7 weeks are trending in that direction, I would start laying all that stuff out there and utilizing your own data. You know, if you're using a factoring company, have them pull all this information for you and send it over to you. If you're working with a broker consistently, like if you were if John Lightfoot was my core carrier and he called me up and said, hey man, I ran 15 of these loads for you. Can you send me? It takes me 5 seconds with my TMS. I can pull all that reporting data and send all that stuff over to him. Again, we got to help keep carriers in business right now. And again, for anybody out there who says people should just know this information, you've clearly never started a fucking business before. All right? Because this stuff changes every single day, every second. There's no playbook to this, as always. So again, that's my little tip out there. Hey, any drivers, you want to come on my show? Hit me up. Chris@thefreightcoach.com. Send me an email. I'd love to have you come on here and talk and give you a voice on a platform to speak your mind about what's going on out here. Let's do that. All right. Bring it on. Any drivers, owner operators, anything, hit me up. Yeah, wheels ain't turning, we ain't earning is what my old man would always say there, Lewis. Dale Prax, and look at fuel costs in the $3 per mile lane. Illinois is $6 per gallon. Tennessee. Yeah, that's another great point there as well, Dale, is that's another big factor to take into consideration in that is where is the most cost-effective fuel on those routes as well. And shout out to my friends over at Trucker Tools, you guys, if you're using their free app for drivers, that they have that tool in there. So, you know, if you're running San Antonio to Kansas City, it's going to show you where the most cost-effective fuel price is on that route. But that's it for today, you guys. As always, I appreciate you guys so much for coming out to this. Again, if you saw value in this, do me a favor, share the show. All right. That's how this is going to continue to grow. That is how we are going to continue to be the top morning show in transportation. And this is how in 12 months from now, we will be the top news source in all of fucking transportation. Share the show is all I can ask from you guys. You know, I appreciate you guys all so much for the support. I got a brand new podcast episode that dropped out. If you're a shipper out there and you're importing and exporting and you have some duty taxes and everything else, you want to talk, listen to this one. I learned a ton from my friends on that one with Sitta Brokerage out of Utah. So again, that's it for today, you guys. I appreciate you all so much, and we'll be talking to you soon.